Hello, everyone. I'm Yusuf Zuhairi, one of the solution consultants here at Celigo, and I'm glad to present to you today a particular use case demonstrating the power of leveraging an iPaaS like Integrator IO, Celigo's Integrator IO, and a large language model like OpenAI. So in our demo today, we are going to showcase an integration that does what we call a text to SQL, and in other words, we are enabling any business user to be able to query databases using natural language and without any SQL knowledge. So this integration will be done between a communication tool like Slack, and it can be any other communication tool like Microsoft Teams or Discord, wherever your company is using. Here we are using a database. We are using MySQL as a database. You can use Microsoft SQL or PostgreSQL or even a data warehouse like Snowflake, and a large language model like OpenAI. And here again, we are using OpenAI, the connector for OpenAI. So let's start by having a quick overview on how this works. Everything starts here with a question in a Slack channel. So we will have an app configured for that workspace in Slack. That app will listen to any event happening in the Slack channel. And if a question is asked in the Slack channel, that app will just send the event to a listener in our flow in the Integrator IO. So that listener will get the original question with a lot of other details like the user, the channel. Then we will retrieve the context from the database, like what is the table, what is the schema, what are the column names in the database. We will generate an SQL query, execute the query in the database, and formulate a final answer using the LLM again. And once we will have a final answer, the app will again just send the answer to the original thread, and the answer will be a reply to the original question. So if we go back to the flow, this is a text to SQL. We are using Slack, database, MySQL, and OpenAI. So as I said, we will listen to the events happening from that Slack channel. We will apply some logic where we are filtering out some messages that are not related to our Slack channel, and reformatting and restructuring our data. Next step is basically retrieving the information from the database about the database itself, like what are the tables that we are going to use, the column names and the schema, and we are sending everything to the OpenAI. So OpenAI, with the prompt engineering, we are applying a set of rules that can give us an accurate answer. One of the rules is, for example, not allowing anything like insert, delete, or update of the database. We want to have only the select. We can also limit the results to a number of results. Like here, I'm limiting the results by default to 10 results because I don't want to end up with the hundreds of thousands of rows as a result, unless if the user is explicitly asking for a specific number of results. So using the features of the Integrator IO, we have the branching here where we can do the exception handling. Like, just as an example, if we have a question here that is not related to our database, we just answer and send back a reply saying that we don't know, right? Again, we have another layer of security where we are filtering out anything related to insert, update, and delete, and sending back as a reply to the Slack thread that no modification is allowed. There is a message that we are sending for that. So if we have a happy scenario, so everything's fine, we will execute the query and get the results. And based on the results, we can again apply some logic. We can capture the errors and do error handling. So by the way, Integrator IO is very, very good in error handling. It has a lot of features and capabilities in terms of error management, and we can easily capture the status code and the error message from the results of the query. So if there is like an error in while executing the query, we will capture that and send it back to the original thread as an error, so that the user can know what's happening exactly. So for, again, the happy scenario, we will just get the results, formulating the final answer and send it back to the thread. So there is a very interesting use case where we have sometimes the results as empty, like the query is executed, but nothing comes out as a result. Then what we are doing here, we're implementing a process, or we are implementing a way to make it to make the OpenAI be able to rethink the logic of how to create that query. And so we rethink the query, we execute it again, and we apply the same logic that we did before. We capture the error handling, and if we get the results, we just formulate the answer and send it back to the Slack. Or if the results, if we got nothing in the results, it means that we could not find an answer in the database to the question. We will just send that we could not find any answer to the database. So I will then next jump to the Slack to show you how this will look exactly in Slack. So I created a new workspace, a brand new one, created a new channel, AIDB knowledge base. And so in this channel, what is expected is that a user will send a query or a question. And this query, so we have an app listening to this channel. That app will take the query and send it to a URL. And by the way, those are the configurations needed in Slack side. And I think we have from our CTO, Scott Henderson, a couple of videos about how to configure Slack for your iPaaS. So we have two things that we need here. First of all, we need the request URL. So this is where the event would be sent. And the second one, we need a few scope or permissions needed so that this app will listen and send only the events that interests us. Like for example, here we are listening to the messages sent to a channel or to a group, and we are sending those events to this URL, and the URL is basically living here. This is the listener. So the Integrator IO, once you create a listener for Slack, Integrator IO is by default creating a public URL for you that you can use it for the configuration of your Slack. So the event, again, let's go back to the channel. Once the query is sent here, the app is sending the event to this URL. This URL is in the listener. The listener is applying the logic, getting the information needed from that database, and with the prompts, we will create the query that will be executed and sent back as an answer. For this demo, I'm using MySQL database that I found in this website, MySQL tutorial. This is like a database for car dealership. We have employees, offices, we have customers. Every customer has orders, and every order has details, products, and product lines. So this is just an example of a company that can be like an e-commerce company, or a lot of e-commerce companies have the same schema of database. So let's ask a basic question. We have employees and offices. Let's say how many employees are working in the US, right? So let's ask the question: who are the, or many, or how many? Let's get the number. How many employees are working in the US. So once you send this question, what's happening in the background, the app is sending this to the URL, and the URL here is triggering the flow. And if I click and refresh, if I refresh this again, we see that we have already an answer, a reply, and that reply is basically saying that the database info is retrieved, and we have already an SQL that was created for us. Obviously, we are not just copy this and go to the database and execute it. This is going to be executed automatically in the flow, and we will get back the results in a couple of minutes. So we got the SQL information, like an update from the flow that the SQL query is executed, and the flow is formulating right now the final answer. Means that we got through the OpenAI step, and we are right now generating, OpenAI generating, based on the results of this query, the final answer. If we wait a couple of seconds here. Yeah, so after like a couple of minutes, we got the final answer, which is there are 10 employees working in the US. And if I take this query and I go to my database, apply it, so you see that the count was 10. And yeah, we got it in a very like friendly way. We got the answer with the details, answering the original question with the results of this. So if I go back to the database and I do select star from products, for example, and we see that we have a lot of products, we have a lot of cars, and we see, like, for example, this one, Ferrari 360 Spider Red. I can ask the question about who bought, for example, this Ferrari in the last 30 years, and we can ask the question who bought the, and put the exact name, the last 30 years. So if I click on submit here and send, probably I will get the same results because it will just generate like a query with the where clause and exact name, and get the results formulated by the AI. But if I look at this question, not a lot of database users or any business users know exactly what is the name of this Ferrari in the database. So that's not really what I want to have here. So I want something very simple. I want to be able to ask question naturally, and I can do something like who bought simply the spider in the last 30 years. This feels like more a natural question, not like very where we are not supposed to know exactly what is the name of the products as we have them in our database. And here, so again, same process. This will be sent to the flow. We trigger that flow. That flow will do the processing, and we will get the results in a couple of minutes. So if we look at what's happening here, the first reply is generated an SQL query, and it's getting a join between different tables, and then like spider, and we will probably get the results right now. So if we take a look at the flow, it's executing one by one all the steps, and yeah, we generated the query. We are executing, here we are logging the progress to our Slack, and we will get the final query. So if I look at the Slack again in this query, so what's happening here is that in this query, we are the OpenAI is trying to find the spider here, literally trying to find the word spider, which is not really what we want. So what we want is basically anything that has the spider in that database. So this is going to trigger a second part. This is like a good example where we will have the results empty, and it will trigger a second part where we are rethinking the query again and trying to enhance it to get a better result. This is what we are going to have here right now. So we got the query executed. The SQL query returned an empty result. So before we return the final answer, let's give it a second shot. And we get like an update. Hold on, we are rethinking the SQL query. And then the original query that was generated got enhanced by, instead of looking for the exact word, we are looking for a word like using this, and we formulated the final answer and we got the final answer here. So this is a very good example where we are doing generating the original query and then doing the and we do again the enhancement of that query to get the final reply. So yeah, this is as I mentioned in the beginning, this integration is a very good example of how we can use an iPaaS, where the iPaaS is giving you all the tools to build your logic, the connectors to the systems, all the features like the branching, the filters, so that you can build your logic. And when you add to that an AI or OpenAI in this use case, you can unleash and unlock a lot of potential for your business users. Here we are, a business user can be someone who is working in this company and he needs this information to work like a sales representative who needs this information so that they can build on their sales cadences. So instead of sending this question to someone who will take like a couple of hours before getting the final answer, he can or she can ask the question in a Slack channel and get the answer immediately, like in a couple of minutes, literally. So yeah, that's all what I wanted to show you today. I hope that that was very useful and helpful for you. Do not hesitate to let us know what you think and if you have any questions. And yeah, one last note is that this is just one example of what we call a RAG, retrieval augmented generation. When you do the text to SQL, there are other different approaches where you can use a vector database. And again, our CTO, Scott Henderson, published a couple of videos again where he's explaining in details how to build and use this type of flows and use something like a vector database to retrieve the knowledge of your company and be able to use it by any business user. Yeah, that was all. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we can share with you again some examples for AI use cases next time. Thank you.